listening to Convenience Matters, brought to you by NACS. Whether it's for food, fuel, drinks, or snacks, about half of the U.S. population shops at a convenience store every day. We'll talk about what we see at stores and what the future may hold for our industry.
We talked at the intro that half of America comes to convenience stores every day, but I think another really important fact is that 60% of our industry is made up by small entrepreneurs. That means that half of all the stores in the country are owned by a small business. And we're going to have a conversation with somebody who lays out some of the ideas I wish someone told me before I began leading my company. Welcome, Convenience Matters. My name's Jeff Lenard with NACS.
And I'm Carolyn Schnare, also with NACS.
And Carolyn, when we do Convenience Matters, one of the things that comes up more than anything else is the idea about connections. How do you connect with customers? How do you connect with people that work in your stores? How do you connect the brand to everybody? Connections are everything. And that's one of the things I'm looking forward to talking with our guest today. Bassem Nowyhed is a AM/PM franchisor. He has a couple stores out in the Southern California area. So first off, welcome, Bassem.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys having me. Thank you, Jeff and Carolyn, for having me on Convenience Matters. And I'm looking forward to exploring the conversation with you guys and, talking about this industry and, just why I believe, like you said, is that, nearly half of Americans are, walking into this, common place. There's a common thread that, people are, basically walking into. And, a lot of big brands, a lot of conglomerate brands, are obviously, in this hub. And, there's a lot of insight and there's a lot of just business, 101, that you get to see on such a molecular level, right? Most people think, a gas station, like, what are you going to learn at a gas station?
Pretty much everything.
Exactly. like I've wiped the counters on the coffee tables, right? Multiple times. Like, dude, I just cleaned this. Why is it dirty again?
It's like my house.
Well, that tells you something. People are walking there. People are, if you're a brand, you want to be on that coffee table. You want to be on that coffee counter, right? It's telling you something. Out of all the products in this, hub of a business, which categories is really flying the most? Coffee. Because I just have to clean it all the time, right?
Yes. Yeah. And what's that line I've heard? If you can lean, you can clean. And that's what you hear. And I'm sure you come from a family business. So you grew up with the business. And it's one thing when somebody's telling you, okay, you need to do this. And you do it because, the answer is because I told you so, because it's a family. But then when you run your own business, it becomes an entirely different animal and you look at things differently. And I like the approach that you've taken, Bassem, where that, for example, I said earlier, the 5 things I wish someone told me before I started my own business. And let's just start with the first one you had there, which I think is the most interesting. 3 repetitive words: connect, connect, connect. Talk to me about why you think connections are so important in convenience retail.
I always say your net worth is your network. And there's that statement is so true and so poignant because at the end of the day, it just takes one person and one opportunity for your whole world to switch, for doors and opportunities. That's what I call them godsends, because ultimately you can't decide who it is that you meet, right? But when you meet that person and you meet that opportunity, I don't care if you've read 1,000 books. It takes one opportunity, and that opportunity usually comes from people. So that's what I always say. Connect. Like, never, ever. Like, some of my best relationships have been from customers that have come into the store. And these are just your average individuals, right? But there are times when you kind of need them the most. Like, hey, I'm looking for somebody that can do this. Well, this person I know has a very genuine relationship with me. Like, they sincerely care, right? I wonder if they know somebody that can basically take care of this. And of course, there's always somebody that knows someone that can basically provide a service fill you in on knowledge that you're not aware of. Like, you need an opportunity, like, hey, I'm looking for somebody that's got distribution in hotels. Well, my buddy down the street, basically, he's the director that basically does that. Like, opportunities lie in people, right? And the best way to connect with somebody is like kids on playground, right? Like, you want to know who got it figured out? Go and watch the kids. They just having a genuine time. They're being sincere. They're just trying to help out one another. This is not competition. This is collaboration. Like, I just want to get to know you. I'm not trying to take nothing from you. You're not trying to take nothing from me. We're just trying to basically feed off of each other's energies and just try to, build something if there's an opportunity together to do together, and to build something that neither you nor I can make on our independence, right? There's a collaborative effort behind it. So when you have that approach, man, you could start having opportunities pop up out of nowhere. You know where my biggest platform is in terms of connection, like now in this digital age? LinkedIn is like the event that you, like that cocktail party that you had to go to rub shoulders with that individual that you're trying to rub shoulders with now, is as simple as a connect button and a nice little message and a nice little follow up if they don't respond, right? Get my attention.
And I just want to point out that about 45 seconds ago, somebody called in and said, don't forget dog parks, too. They're awesome places to watch how people or dogs all get along and have a good time. So
as mine
don't
bark
forget,
in the background.
don't forget dog parks.
My best friend I met because I take my dog always to a park, and he was a coach. He's a coach, right? So I always saw him there, always training kids, always, every time, right? So I was like, you know what? I want to get trained by this guy, right? Next thing I know, he's now my best friend, right? So it's like dog parks, absolutely, because you meet genuine people that care about animals and nature and like that are kind of connected into that world. They're not self-absorbed. They're like out in the world connected. So 1000% dog parks. My best friend came from the dog park.
My best friends are dogs, and they're at the dog park. So a great place to be always. One question, though, you made me think of people. And I know that's people being those that work in your store. And to find great people, sometimes talking to those who already work with you are there. Is that a way that you find new employees or new management? Like, how is that part of your personnel structure?
I mean, here's the thing. Finding employees it could be difficult, right? Because, you could put, ads out on Facebook. I've done that before. I could put ads out on Indeed. I can put ads out on Craigslist, newspapers, whatever, right? But to find employees, that's a godsend. It's when you have that opportunity, because I'll tell you this, I don't care if you're a Fortune 100, Fortune 50, or you're a mom and pop store. Your business, like, number one, do not buy yourself a job. If you are a restaurant owner and you're cooking, you're not a restaurant owner. You're basically somebody that bought themselves a job. If you are a gas station owner and you are running the register and you are basically, mopping the floors, you are not an owner. You bought yourself a job. You are an employee to your business, right? People are who basically ultimately run your business, right? A structure of people, right? And you are so dependent on that, because much like a machine has moving parts and it has mechanics that have to flow a certain type of way, these people that run your business have to move a certain type of way. So it's very important that you have a structure and a team that just understands the motion, right? So our top employees have came from existing employees. Honestly, we've put ads out before. Maybe you get a walk-in every once in a while, right? Like there's one employee that we have. Her name is Flo. She came in, and she actually came in from a family friend of ours, right? And she was like, she's looking for a job, whatever. Like, can you help her out? We're like, absolutely. She came in and didn't know a word of, like, she had, trouble like with the language barrier, right? But she had such an optimistic attitude, such high energy, like cared, treated the store like it was hers, right? I kid you not, customers would come in solely to just have a conversation with her. They wouldn't even buy. Like sometimes they'd come in not to buy anything, just to have a conversation with her.
Yeah, and you get the thing where they're not in, and it's like, got to come in the next day, got to make sure everything's okay.
Right. She now is our manager for one of our stores. Went from being an employee with like having a trouble like language to now dealing with distributors, now making deals, because she had such a strong, like genuine effort of wanting to take care of the store, wanting to take care of this business, and wanting to help her other employees around her be better.
So we talked about connecting on social media. You talked about LinkedIn as being the platform to really find people. And we talked about connecting dog parks, playgrounds, all that, find people where they're all social and you can kind of see the true person without having to put on like your business hat. Let's talk about like connecting on, well, in California, you're in Southern California, it's a unique market. So you have some other challenges related to how do you connect with people? How do you find labor? It's probably more expensive with some minimum wage and just the various regulations that you go through. How does a business communicate? Hey, some of these regulations really make it difficult for me to. I get this regulation. I get the positive behind the regulation, but it really has a negative effect on a business because of this. So, is there a way that you suggest that it works to kind of tell your story to legislators that they may listen, or you tell it to customers like, hey, this is my challenge with some of the things we're dealing with, whether it's environmental regs or various other regs?
I mean, so, the topic on the employees, right? Like in terms of like, you're talking about like the wage, like how much like, can a minimum wage, be a hefty expense on a business? Is that what you're basically trying to address?
Yeah, just the kind of thing like, minimum wage going to 15. There's a difference between living wage and minimum wage. And, having teenage kids, I've told them they're not worth $20 an hour. But somebody will pay them less because they're worth that. And how do you navigate all that so that people feel good about their jobs and they feel that you're supporting them?
I always say this, man. The way we run our business, the way we run our operations, is you got to make life a game, right? There's a book that I literally like chewed up and read called Actionable Gamification, and it basically talks about how if you want to run a successful business, successful life, you have to understand that you have to put objectives and goals, short-term goals, long-term goals, just levels along the way. So that way you feel like you're accomplishing, right? That you're basically having a purpose. You wake up every day, there's an objective. I'm going to my work. I'm not collecting a paycheck. I have an objective, right? I'm trying to sell X amount of coffee cups. I'm trying to sell X amount of croissants. I'm trying to sell X amount of water bottles. I'm trying to sell X amount of whatever. So that way I can hit the objective to basically get, $1,000 bonus, a $500 bonus. Hey, you know what? All my employees are working 15 times harder. They're upselling all the time. Hey, would you like to get a water bottle with that? Hey, would you like to get a coffee with that? Hey, would you like to get a croissant with that? Hey, would you like to get this with that? Every time, always upselling. How much money do you think that they're going to generate me a month? $5,000? Great. You know what? The person that did it the best, you get $2,000. You just got me $5,000. I can profit $3,000. That's fine, no problem. But I'm gonna shove it right back into your pocket. Not, here's a $25 Amazon gift card. Come on. Like I just put 5 racks in your pocket. You're trying to give me $50? Don't insult me. $3,000? Oh, brother, I will literally stand outside, go shake my tushy for some croissant sandwiches. So
that's a really smart idea.
Actionable. Yeah. Not $15 an hour, $20 an hour. All right, cool, $20 an hour, whatever. No, $2,000 at the end of the month.
Okay, you put something on my summer beach read or whatever, wherever I go. Actionable gamification. I'll throw one back at you. There was this book was suggested a couple of years called The Dream Manager. And it was basically a story about a sanitation company. These people clean toilets, stuff like that for a living. And they found out that their turnover in cleaning toilets was like 400%. They assumed that the answer to the problem is paying people more money. That reduced turnover a bit. They thought that, okay, maybe they have trouble getting transport. So they started finding a way to bring them more. We'll get you transportation to get to work. That dropped the turnover a little bit. And then they said, hey, you know what? Why don't we ask them why they have a job? What is their dream? What will the job accomplish for them? And it sounds very much like actionable gamification. And what they found out is this one person has a job because their goal, their dream is to put their kid through college. Another one has a dream to take care of their parents who were first generation Americans and they need help now. And they said, oh, let's write down your dreams and let's make them reality. Let's build towards it. If you have a kid that's looking to go to college, just do a 521 account. Let's do this. And their turnover went from 400% to 20%. Because same type of thing, actionable gamification, it's not a job. It is going towards a goal. And every day you're in that office, you're accomplishing something for the business and you're accomplishing something for yourself. And I think that's a really cool way to look at things.
That's how it should be in life in general. Mind, body, and soul always elevate. You hit $1 billion, but you're empty inside. Elevate every dynamic of yourself. And that's why I always say, before you want to be a business person, be a good person. The business will fall into place. That's where you get the divine intervention, is you start having opportunities and people connecting with you, because fundamentally as yourself as a person, you are soulful, right? So you can start navigating through the ways and wits of business without, 100% you having to do all the work, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's for sure. And you make, if you're working towards something that, like you said, personally, gets you up and out of bed in the morning, it just makes it that much easier to put a smile on and get there. Now, let me pivot a second. And I want to talk to you not about the croissants that they're outside selling, but about the new customers in general. I think we found from a lot of our events, from things that we've been doing at NACS, and I've been here quite a while, that one of the things that a lot of people look to NACS are is to find new products. So we have our convention every year and they come to learn and discover new things. But it's not because they want to necessarily have the newest and shiniest thing. It's because customers want them. They want to get what they want in stores. Now, just like we said earlier, we were looking on the reading some articles about you, and one of your things that you're really keen on is making customers happy, whether it is having that newest, greatest thing, or even finding out what you could carry in your stores that's really important. So I guess my question is, it's meandering to get there, is how do you put new products in stores? I know as a smaller operation, it is harder to find what's new and hot out there. What's your thought behind being the latest and greatest stuff, or having the latest and greatest stuff?
Be a customer, right? What did Jeff Bezos say? He's like, customer service is my number one thing. The dude stressed on customer service like it was his whole company. And look, he's billions of dollars, right? So the thing is be a customer. How can you stress customer service if you're not a customer? How are you trying to identify the problems when you don't even experience the problems? For you to come up with a solution, you have to be the customer, right? So if you want the freshest of the freshest, the newest of the newest, what's my new convenience, right? I'm driving, I want a Snickers bar. Am I going to really pull up in Costco? Am I going to go to Vaughn's? No, I'm going to go to AM PM, right? I'm going to go pull up, hop out, 2 minutes, cool. They marked me up 50, 75 cents, whatever. Paying for convenience, right? That's a need. Pressure point, right? So the way you identify it is you have to be a customer. You got to be in the trenches. Don't start a business. Don't try to be in this arena if you can't even be a customer in it, right? So for me, right, what I identified, during, this whole digital wave and just 2020 and just the kind of the shift of how people are, kind of going about life, right? There's a new convenience that has popped up, right? The convenience of driving into an AM PM quick grab and go is now I'm on my couch watching a movie. I got the app, bing, bada, boom. I order the thing, pops up, shows up to my door. That's a new convenience. Now the roads are kind of a little empty, right? They ain't popping in no more, right? They're at home. So what do? You got to go to them, right? You got to go to them and start understanding, oh, wow, there's this new wave of food platforms, right? I can order on DoorDash. I can order on Postmates. I can order on Uber Eats. I can order directly, from the AM, PM, the 7-Eleven, the whomever, right? I can have my food, my product get delivered to me, right? Now, for me at least, right, and this is where I've been going in, is, yeah, I'm with you guys. There's a lot of new products out. There's always a new chocolate bar. There's always a new vegan this. There's always a new non-GMO this. There's always, I have a meal replacement. Yeah, okay, great. I've been a part of that. What I'm more interested in is this new avenue. It's a completely different beast that just basically emerged, right? You have industries, like DoorDash, right? Producing hundreds of millions of dollars. Like they're public, right? Postmates, Uber Eats, right? You're talking about, I think somewhere they were saying is like $1 trillion market, right? With ghost kitchens, right? Virtual kitchens, right? This whole digital platform of, Postmates, I could order my food on DoorDash, I could order my food on Uber Eats, right? That market is huge, right? If you're a convenience store, you're not on a food platform, you're leaving money on the table.
So that's fascinating to me. You hear on the East Coast, you have Wawa, you have Sheetz, you have some of these companies that have been known more for food than their fuel. And on the West Coast, it tends to be companies that are fuel first because of the long-standing love affair in California with the car. It's around brand of fuel, and oh, by the way, we sell other items. And how do you merge that together? Where hey, we have the brand of fuel that not only you like, but probably the generation before you liked, and merge that as a go-to place, because I think it sounds like a good idea for the big food companies. But when you have somebody with 3 stores that's affiliated with a fuel brand and talking about the future is food and its delivery and it's however the customers want it, I think that's a really powerful point, that you're looking that way, that smaller operators are looking that way, and really, it may not work for everybody, but you should at least take a look at it.
Absolutely. Your whole understanding of why fuel is first in the West as opposed to the East is because of the necessity that people drive around, right? And California I see the shift, right? I'm not one to say all gas stations aren't going to be around, in 10, 15 years, but we might be going there, right? And it's because electric cars are real. Like this whole switch, this is real. Like this, we are making that shift, right? So most people think they're like, oh, okay, cool. I'll just switch out my gas stations into electric charging stations, right? I wish it was that easy, right? But it's you have to understand something. You go to
expensive.
Not just that. It's not just that. You go to a parking structure. You're at Whole Foods. Guess what? You can charge your car. You're at the movies. Parking your car. Guess what? You can charge your car. You're at your school. Parked your car. Guess what? You can charge your car. I saw a Tesla getting charged while it was on the meter. Literally, it was charging itself while on a parking meter. So to me, I'm thinking like, wow, gas station and convenience stores, y'all need to understand that the market is shifting, that fuel may no longer be the driving force into bringing that customer into your store. Much like what we saw during COVID, traffic flow went away. What did you do? Me, I went online. I was like, great, DoorDash, Postmates, Uber Eats, I'm up there. What happened? Ring, 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 doors. Literally, the guy that's in the hills wants to have a Coke. Guess what? He's ordering it from me. New convenience, right? So you have to understand, like, if people are going there, what else is in that arena? And that's where my mind started going into. Like, I'm looking at my kitchen at my convenience store, and I'm thinking to myself, this is a place where I'm not only just selling hot dogs and hamburgers and whatever. Like, this is a hub where you can actually really start tapping into a whole nother world that this digital platform basically showed you.
Yeah, and I guess the one challenge, or an added challenge in the LA market, is, well, I just remember my father-in-law always was bragging, like, he lived 3 miles away from work and it took him 3 minutes. 3 miles in LA might be 30 minutes. So I imagine that's another complication, in that people want it, but they also have to understand that, boy, traffic can be sometimes a little bit tricky there, but you're going to get it there as fastly, as safely as you can, and make it at that convenient experience that they want to repeat.
Exactly. I mean, look what Pizza Hut's doing. They got these robots that are, delivering the pizzas. It's all about how quickly can you service a need and how convenient can you do it, right? And that's really what it comes down to. So, for me, it's really understanding, like, food is a driving force at the end of the day, right? If you can service to that need, then you're ultimately going to get that audience that you want, but you have to deliver it to them in a way that they're basically expecting, right? If people aren't driving and they're staying at home, how do you basically start navigating and maneuvering yourself to be in those funnels and places?
You have touched on so many things that we talk about on the show in the last, not only year, but we've been on the air for quite a while, but especially once we start talking about the pandemic. Now, it's hit us all in different ways, different sides of the country, different waves of when the openings, closings. And, as we're coming out of this now, we talked about the two things I think that are the most important, that I think we all need to remember and keep in mind as we move forward, which is people and convenience. And so you nailed both of those things. Now, where in California, remind us, where are your stores?
So we got one in Studio City. We got one, just kind of all spread out throughout the Southern California region. One in downtown. We got a couple up in the suburbs. So we're kind of just like spread out. And the cool thing about that is you can really start to have like that true data, right? You're in different parts of like, Southern California, just like the region, to where you can have like a macro understanding. Like we could start like piloting and just kind of bringing in different types of, concepts or products, and just start to understand how that data is really just kind of funneling through.
And I know that when I talk to people in the LA area, they all have at least one great celebrity story. Something about, somebody who was even nicer than they thought they would be. Do you have anything that's worth sharing to talk about? Somebody came into our stores and, boy, that's why they're famous, because it's how they act when there's no cameras on, that you just see what, as you mentioned earlier, good person before being a good person, and then good businessman.
Yeah, I mean, in Universal, one of my employees recognized Steve-O, and he's like, "Oh my God, this is Steve-O," whatever. I was like, "Just go talk to him," right? And he went up to him, and he was like super nice. He was like, "Yeah, like let me take a picture." He kind of came, he started talking and whatever, just like kind of made his whole day, right? And to me, I'm like, that's what it is, like real genuine people, like especially like an individual like that, like he had fame kind of like, not overnight, obviously, like they put in the work, but being on the TV show of Jackass, and just kind of doing just crazy obnoxious stunts and putting his body through rigorous things and going through drugs and rehab, and man, life slapped him all up and down the face, and still just so nice and just humble and just cool, like real gratitude, like he understands like the simple things of life. Like those types of people, they last, because sometimes success at an early age or early time, it can be very detrimental to you, because you don't know how to harness that resource, because that fruit that you're wanting to indulge in so much could actually become poison if you don't know how to treat it.
Yeah, and I think that those kind of stories are also interesting because they really, I think, can tie back to convenience stores. Because years later, or months or days or however long it was go, it still resonates with you, just like when you talk to people and it's like, I had a great experience in a store, and it's memorable. Negative experiences also are memorable. Let's not talk about them. But great experiences have deep roots. And the idea is, how do you connect and how do you have those great experiences as often as possible? And then, grow with your customers and find new ways to have great experiences. So I think there was a lot of interesting things to cover there. One final thing, we talked about connections a lot today. How do people connect with you? How can they find you and learn a little bit more about, hey, pretty interesting guy. I'd like to stay in touch with this guy.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, for me, my easiest way to connect with people nowadays is I'm really, big on LinkedIn. So, just find me, my first and last name, and, just add me as a friend, and we basically can just kind of go from there.
Well, that sounds awesome. And I really enjoyed, I know I speak for Jeff, that we've really enjoyed meeting you and talking to you. And I know this won't be the last time that we'll do that. So,
absolutely. I appreciate it.
Yeah, certainly stay in touch. And thanks again. And thank you for listening to Convenience Matters.
Convenience Matters is brought to you by NACS and produced in partnership with Human Factor. For more information, visit convenience.org.